So what you're looking at today is Ikari or Ikari Warriors, depending on where you live. Yeah, I haven't done a video since like October. Just been really busy with shit. And I can't remember the last time I did an arcade video. So this is something I've gotten in recently. So why not? Let's go back to the arcade. So if you're familiar with the game, which you probably are, it uses a rotary stick. So what I've acquired actually is a Sigma Raijin Supergun here with the LS30 rotary stick in it, which, it's an 8-directional stick, but also it rotates. If you're not familiar with these are not analog spinners. I've had some people, I've shown pictures of this too, and they're like, oh, they're like Arkanoid spinners or Tempest. No, these aren't analog at all. These are digital. You can hear them click through the positions. And if you've never used one of these, and you're used to something more like this, these, the stiffness of the spring will depend on the spring, but these are actually really stiff and take some time to get used to. Takes a bit more force to move. Plus, since, like something like this, you get more leverage. Here, you get a lot less leverage and you're spinning it around, so it takes a little time to get used to, but once you do, it's a great little thing. These rotary games are something I always wanted to get into, but these sticks themselves are getting rather hard to get a hold of these days. You'll notice mine is actually missing the topper, but in the end it's just more of an aesthetic than anything else. Though I've heard you can take a button this size and just snap and type and it'll fit perfectly anyway. So yeah, let's just pause this for a sec. So I actually do have two sticks. Here's my second one, which I'm going to install into the Sigma Raijin when I get some more time. But so yeah, it looks like a stick, but if you notice at the bottom here is the SNK rotary switch, which is just basically just mounted on the bottom, and it has this little metal plate thing, so when you turn it, which is going to be really hard to do with one hand, it forces the see, it hits the plate, and then which gives you the leverage, which forces the switch itself to turn. And then how it connects is the joystick itself just connects as like a normal joystick would. Then there's a special harness that connects to the connector here, and like as you can see, that's actually coming out here the back of the Supergun, which is this mess of wires, which then goes over to the PCB. Speaking of which, so here is the original Ikari SNK PCB from 1986. This is the original version, meaning as you can see it's not JAMA, so you need a JAMA adapter as well as the rotary stick harnesses, which connect here for 1 and 2. You'll notice it's a bit of a beast, hard to see in the picture, but it's actually a triple layer 1, 2, 3 3-layer PCB, which, and people wonder just why like the NES port turned out so bad. This thing is a beast. And if you zoom in here, you'll notice it's got 1, 2, 3 Z80 processors, which basically run the whole thing. So this was one hell of a piece of hardware for 1986. Also interesting to note is you'll notice there's actually 2 pots here. The one on the left is the volume like normal. The one on the right is kind of neat though. It's actually the sound effect and music balance. If you turn it one way, it raises up the sound effects, while the other way it puts priority on the music. So which is actually a really nice feature that I wish more PCBs had, and very few of them do. So yeah, this is the original non-JAMA version. I've heard there was a JAMA version later, though I'm not sure if it was actually sold that way, or people just took the sequel Victory Road PCBs, which is the same basic hardware but JAMA, and threw in the Ikari chips. But yeah, there's the beast of a PCB. And these are just copies, but just for the sake of selling them. And this is the old Japanese instruction cards. Pow. And yeah, unlike say the NES version, the original arcade version doesn't actually have levels. It's just one long continuous game. It's divided into gates, which kind of show, you know, your progress. And then once you get to the top is when you go inside the complex. But it never ends. It's until like you get there. It's just one long run, which is something I actually kind of really like about the game. And this is also a copy, of course, but the good old service manual. Alright, I gotta move the camera, so... one other thing you'll notice here is that my monitor is actually turned, like, left side up. Well, your typical vertical arcade game, usually it's right side up. Yeah, this is something to be aware of if you ever get interested in this particular PCB, is that for some reason SNK like to go the other way, left side up. And the older games like Ikari here don't have a screen flip dip switch on them, meaning you need a monitor that goes to the left. So if you happen to have one of those fancy cabs that has a rotation mech in it, so you can easily rotate it, which are really nice. To my knowledge, the majority of those only go from, you know, Yoko to Tate, the more normal way, from flat going right. Well, these ones go the complete opposite way. Meaning, if you're going to put a game like this in there, you're going to have to basically flip the yoke on the monitor itself, because otherwise it's going to be upside down. So, truth be told, this game is kind of a pain in the ass to really play, because you need to have the monitor rotated the right way, plus you need to have the proper stick. I think there also was a HAP, kind of a knockoff version, but probably not as good as the real deal. And in my case, you need the jam adapter. And all for that for a game from 1986, which is hard as balls and has, at least the Japanese version here, has no continues either. But I gotta say though, this game is awesome. You know, I was born in '83, so I never really played this in the arcade. And like I basically, when I bought this from an old buddy of mine, I bought a bunch of Rotary PCBs with it, and this was one that I wasn't really expecting to get a whole lot of enjoyment out of, and I'm actually really surprised by it. This game is really, really fun. It's really, really hard, but like, I mean, like for example, you'll notice you've got even your main gun is limited. There is no unlimited ammo in this game, so you run out of bullets and grenades, you're fucked. And on top of that, it is quite strategic. You can kind of go slowly and, you know, try and take out enemies. But for me, I find I get the farthest if I just make a mad dash for it and don't really think and just go on reflex alone. But either way, this game is, you know, really challenging. But, you know, I love the animation. The animation is really, really good. It's like, I mean, this is like one of those 8-bit games that really shows what you can do with 8-bit, so to speak. I can't describe it. I mean, these days it looks fairly simple, but I don't know. I was really surprised by how good the animation is, and just in general, I can understand why this game was so popular back when it, you know, in 1986, and why it got ported to just about everything, including computers like the MSX. So, alright, let's see if I can put the camera down in a position and you can watch me get my ass kicked a bit. Because on a good day I can make it to the third gate. But that's probably not going to happen today. Especially not when I'm recording. Let me get the... I think that'll do. You can kind of see what's going on. And just kill the lights. And here we go. Die, motherfuckers. But yeah, this game has aged very wow, that was sad. Has aged very well in my opinion. Not just due to the controls, but also just the way and that cost me my tanks. This game is mean. But like the collision detection, for example, is extremely solid. You can really weave between shots pretty easily. I'm gonna be able to do crap since I'm... Figures I'm recording, so I have just about my worst credit ever. Again. But yeah, like this game is, for 1986, I was surprised just how frantic it was. And I love the little animations. I like how some of the soldiers run away and oh, I cannot talk and play at the same time. Die, fuckers. This is a game I will most likely never beat, but damn, it's still fun just to fuck around with it anyway. Come on, I haven't even gotten to the tank. This is pathetic. You get that joystick out of the way, but what? Still no tanks here? The fuck? Never understood that. Sometimes there's 2 tanks there, and sometimes there's not. Fucker. I got caught on the damn statue thing. Alright. And I get shotgun out of it. Oh, come on. Oh god, I don't think I've ever played this bad. I mean, this entire game is only like 20 minutes long, but oh, you. There's my tank. Sometimes there's two tanks. Not really sure. No, you are not going to grenade my fucking tank. Ah, you... Oh. Oh, I fucking suck. Oh, man. Come on. Come on, give me something slightly respectable. I haven't made it to the first gate yet. I'm not good at this game, but I'm usually not this terrible. I fucking bastard. Fucking die, motherfuckers. Yee-hoo! Hey, another tank. Interesting. Oops. A little damage there. Ah! Get it, get it, get it! Woot! Ah! Ah. This is the part where it really helps to have a fucking tank. Well, there is another one, usually. Sometimes this game just does weird stuff that I never really understood. Ah! Well, anyway, you get the idea. I don't think there's too many people that aren't familiar with this game in some form. But, it's still really fun. And I gotta say, it's, you know, getting a rig where you can actually use them. Because, like, I have a cab, but I don't even think they'll fit in my cab because it's got kind of a miniature control panel. Well, they might, but be an absolute pain in the ass to try and rewire them in there. So this converted Rigene works really well. Looking forward to getting my second stick installed. I just actually got the second wiring harness this morning, so it would have been worthless to do it yet. And yeah, this is just I've got a few other Rotary games, so I'm gonna try to do one of these a week and just kind of go through them one by one, and good times. It's a bit of a messy setup. In fact, the setup's actually pretty put the lights back on here. Like, yeah, the reason I'm kind of like over here in my bedroom floor is just because, you know, you got the Rigene, which is fairly big, which goes over to the game, and then you'll notice I'm using my old FM Towns monitor, which is one I had sitting around spare. It works really nice for vertical games because it's basically just a perfect square casing. And I'm actually got the old XRGB1 out here, which I'm basically using it as a pinout converter, as the XRGB1 can output in 15 kilohertz, as well as has a dip switch to output in proper Towns output. So, you know, the Supergun's outputting a 21-pin cable, and then it's just going through the XRGB. It's not actually upscaling. I'm still running in 15 kilohertz here, so I can get the, you know, the classic look of the proper scan lines from the monitor, which then goes out to the 15-pin cable, which goes to the monitor, and it also pulls out the the audio out of the 21-pin connector, which then goes away the fuck over there to my boombox. So yeah, it's a absolute mess of a setup, but absolutely worth it. Ikari here is a great game, and well, as far as later games that use this, some of them are really good, some of them are a bit meh, but we'll get to those. And oh, if you're wondering, this isn't the original Rotary game. The original Rotary game would have been Tank, aka TNK3, depending on where you live in the world, which was the first game to use the SNK developed LS30 here. And you know, this is basically the follow-up to it. In Tank, you were basically, from what I remember, you were basically just a tank that drove around, so you could, you know, shoot in all different directions, which is why, you know, in Ikari you can go on foot as well as on tank. And I do not have Tank. I would very much like to get one of those, just because it's the original Rotary game, and I've never played it, so it'd be a fun game to mess around with, I think. But it's huge. It's a really large PCB, and it's also pretty expensive, so truth be told, these Rotary games are generally more common in the US. I'm guessing because of the Japan, you know, Japan was never really a fan of dedicated cabs, so games that use wacky controls like this, they had their place, but they kind of died out after a while, except for like driving games. So for this reason, a lot of the Rotary games are way more common in the US, especially some of the later ones, like for example, I really want Heavy Barrel, but the Japanese Heavy Barrel is almost non-existent. Like, it exists, but like it only comes up for sale like once every 10 years or so and goes for a lot of money. So I'm looking into working out a trade deal with a buddy in the US to get me to import an American Heavy Barrel board, because that's one of the ones I'd really like to have, but I'll never get a Japanese one. So yeah, that's it for today. I'm not dead, still alive, and look forward to more Rotary arcade goodness, because they're coming.